Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This week's show, I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Sweet Home, Season 3, Episode 2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, let's start off with Hyun's and his crew's side of things, because first and foremost, we're picking up with Yi-kyung waking up and not really being able to distinguish between what was real and what wasn't. Because like her real last memory was of her daughter touching her hand, and that's when the whole turning into a monster thing happened. And so she like recognizes like the scars and the burns on her face are gone, but then she does look at her arm and like the heavy scars she has there are still there. So it's like, okay, so she was about to attack herself, but Eon stops her. It's like, no, you're not a monster. Like, you are a human. And she does it. And Eon covers her arm. I was like, is she actually going to start healing or something? And then lo and behold, she's human. I was like, interesting. So I was like, so Hyun healed her. But it might also be a special case situation of, well, the monsterization process didn't start. Well, it's like hard to say like natural, but like Yi-kyung's daughter like accelerated that. Like maybe Yi-kyung would have eventually gone through the monsterization process, maybe not, but maybe like her artificially accelerating it or just activating it in you general made it so that Hyun would be able to stop that. Maybe other variations of like the natural process of it, because he also got to her soon enough. Like she was still early enough in the process that he was able to reach out to her and pull her back. There's also a connection there. Like, this is someone you know versus not someone who knows if he'd be able to replicate it. And as we can see later on in it, well, throughout the episode, he's unconscious. Who knows how long Yi-kyung was out for? I think Eon said like they were both out for like a couple days, and it's just like, yeah, we've been just watching Hyun because he was passed out, and it's like, you don't want to get too close or his winged arm is going to start flapping and potentially kill you. So he's unconscious for like 90% of the episode, and when he does wake up, you also don't know which Hyun you're going to get. The one with like the blue eyes, that's kind of like the other version of him. So it's not a reliable solution of, oh, he can kill everyone, because who knows what kind of toll that will take on him and what that will do like eventually, because he's also in a very traumatic place, because like I said, I think because of what he takes in from people when he does it. Like the reason why he broke down in tears, it could either be, oh my god, Yi-kyung's back, she's human again, or it's just because of what he knew he ripped her away from dream-wise, and that killed him a little bit. We won't really know until he talks about it. But yeah, Yi-kyung decides to leave because she's got to try and find her daughter. It's like, I've been given this second chance, and because she's like, I remember like having this dream, and she was like, I remember Hyun's voice telling me we had to go back, but despite me pushing him away. And Eon-yu's like, yeah, that sounds like Hyun. Like when you try to push him away, like he is there for you, you know? And so Yi-kyung wants to find her daughter because she's like, I have to kind of make things right, because she's like, I'm the reason why my daughter is lost and feeling so alone and everything. And so when it comes to that, she's like, I have to make things right, because I'm the one, because like, I know my daughter's going to go to the stadium, because that's like the only other place she knows where like other people around. But she also knows like my daughter is afraid of people. She kind of thinks people are bad and that people are out to get her. So it's like she's brought about that because it's like, I raised her that way, and it's like, I didn't always raise her with love. Sometimes I raised her out of fear, and that's led to everything. So it's her second chance to like that dream of like making that come true. It's like, you can kind of make it true in this reality. So we'll see where things kind of go from there. But staying here, Hani and what was it, Hoseong have a moment when he finally wakes up. Because I was trying to remember last episode, I was like, well, we didn't see him, but I was like, didn't she like poison him? And it's like, lo and behold, yeah, but he's unconscious still. I also love that Chang Seok like wasn't too willing to like get food from her. She's like, you don't trust me? He's like, no. I'm like, I wouldn't either. Like, remember the last time you fixed some food for him, you poisoned him? It's like, circumstances are a little different, but still, like, you've built up a tolerance to it. He hasn't, so it's kind of like intentional versus not. Honey's a little cuckoo. So, but yeah, Hoseong like grabs her up and is like, right, you really want to stay with these people? Like, they're monsters, and even if they're not like, Well, he says this later on, I was about to say, because he's like, right, you'll get yourself killed around these monsters or bad people, let's leave. But then she has to break the news to him, like, yo, you are talking about these people. Hyun saved Yukion. It's like, I saw it and other people saw it. She was going through the monsterization process and she was saved. She was human again, meaning all these monsters that you're just like, oh, they're done, they're done, they're done. They are still human. And that's a hard revelation to kind of accept, because a lot of people just come like, well, if she started the process, you're good as dead. You know, it's like, right, that golden hour, I have to kill you before you become a monster we can't kill or have a hard time killing. So, because prior to this, she had talked to Chung Seok about like their whole arrangement, that Hani and Hoseong made a promise to each other that if one of them transforms into a monster, the other will kill them. I mean, maybe I misread that, because she made a promise to him, but I don't know. I don't really. In the flashbacks we never saw him really make that promise to her, so it could have been made later on. But the circumstances under which they met, he killed her parents because her parents started going through the monsterization process. Their noses were bleeding and stuff. He shot them and then like burned them. Like, he was doing, you know, her service, because it's like, yeah, her parents probably would have killed her, but who knows? It's still a thing of it came out of nowhere, and for her it's like, the moment you turn into a monster, I'm going to kill you, which I think that speaks volumes about Honey, that like she was going to wait that long rather than be like, I'm gonna get my revenge now. It's like, because I don't want to kill a human, I'm not going to be a murderer, I'm going to wait till you're a monster and then kill you, just so you know. And it's like, all right, fine, be like that if you want to. He's like, I don't want to be a monster, so you be doing me a service. So, but now it's the thing of, with this revelation of they can be cured, that it isn't the end of the road, as as we see with Hyung, like he's also been able to fight the monsterization process. I mean, it's a forever struggle, but he's been holding off on it. And that, I mean, obviously Hoseong kind of heard about all that last season, but he still was kind of like, no, you're a monster. And now it's this hard pill that he has to swallow, being like, right, because he's justified it, like, even if they were humans, they were in the golden hour, they would have eventually turned into a monster. Like, you know, Hyun is a rare case. Obviously you have the other, like the MHs, the neo humans, the monster humans, that it's just kind of like, it's such a complicated thing. And now just in retrospect, you can tell it was hitting him, and it was also hitting Honey, because it's like, what about my parents? Like, yeah, who knows how much time passed between my parents' death and us meeting up with Hyun, but the fact of the matter is, like, they were still human before you killed them. So, like, you could try to justify by like, oh, they're monsters, they're as good as dead. It's like, no, they're still human. Even when they transform into monsters, they're still there, you know? So that was kind of something he was dealing with. But Hani had told this point Chong Seok that she's like, he might have his rough exterior and stuff like that, but she's like, on the inside, he's a big softie. I mean, to be fair, she spent more time with him, so she knows him better than anyone else. Probably better than he knows himself, because he's not really a people person, and she knows that about him. And they did that flashback to last season where she was like, why did you like keep around me even though you hate people? Because for him, it's like, you don't have a glow about you. The fact of the matter is, we might be empty shells. We might like kind of be like broken on the inside as people, but we're still alive. And that in itself is the most important thing, is being, you know, it's that conversation of alive versus living. And it's like, even if we're not living, even when we have no enjoyment, even when we're just scraping by day to day, just surviving, that's good enough as long as we're alive. But once again, that's always a conversation in an apocalyptic situation, living versus being alive. So, but sadly later on, Hoseong goes through the monsterization process. And how does it, like, I thought was interesting, like when it seemed like Honey's eyes turned black, I was like, oh, is she going through the process? But then because she said like they were humans, and then it's like, oh, that was all in his head. And I thought it was interesting what his hallucinations were. It was like the very blurred, like obscure faces of everyone he's ever killed. And it's like, oh yeah, like remember us, like you did this to us. And the voice kind of telling him like, oh yeah, you wanted to do this. So it's like all these people you've killed like haunting you at this moment. So it's, of course, your monsterization would like present itself in this manner. So he's trying to, like, he's in the vehicle. I don't know what his plan was, whether he was trying to kill himself in that moment or what he was trying to do, but it ultimately comes down to Honey tried to get to Hyun to wake him up. So it's like, right, he cured Yikio. He can cure Hoseong. And obviously he's in the vehicle banging his head against the steering wheel, which is going to draw more monsters. And when the time comes, Honey was just like, come on, just hold on a little bit. Just hold on a little bit longer and let Hyun wake up and he can save you. But in that moment, it's just like, right, I don't want to be a monster, so kill me. We made our promise. But when the time came, she couldn't do it. So he pushes on the gas and crashes the car. Luckily, Chung Seok got her out of the way in time, and she starts beating herself up about it because he had to go so far just to kill himself. She's like, this is my fault. I should have pulled the trigger. Like, I made the promise to you. And I think there's also an element of him not wanting her to have to live with that. He has to live with, especially in this moment, the guilt of everything that he's done, and it's just kind of like that's weighing on him in this moment. But I think there's also the element of, like I said, I don't want you having to hold that with you. I don't want you to have to carry that. It's also like, because I do care about you, even though I didn't always show it. I might have been kind of a douchebag sometimes, but it's like, yeah, I do love you and care for you like a daughter, so I don't want you to carry this. So he dies in the explosion from what we can see. So then a monster shows up because of all of the noise, and I was kind of scared for Honey because she's in the car. The car got flipped over, but Chung Seok, like, biding time. Luckily, Hyun just smashes through the window, squashes the thing, and then proceeds to attack Chung Seok. So that's where the episode ends. We'll have to see. Because Eonyu ran back into the building. I don't know what she was grabbing in that moment. Because she was trying to get Eonyu woken up. Because I thought it was interesting. I almost forgot to talk about the conversation she had while he was unconscious. She actually sat in a room with him, and she was like, right, after Yikyeon left, she was like, I could be the type of person that can leave kind of on a dime. Because she's like, yeah, I'm a very cold person. She's like, my entire family's like that. And kind of talks about, she's like, oh yeah, my brother in particular was a very cold bastard, as we all know. And she was commenting on, she wonders if her brother's out there, is he holding on like Hyun? Once again, we haven't seen him since, I think that was the post-credits drop. It was a stinger, but I want to say it was not even at the end of the episode. I think it was a mid-credits thing. So we still haven't seen him, but we know he's out and about. But she's still unclear whatever happened to her brother. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Because like I said, this goes back to the whole how the webtoon ends, because Hyuk's situation represents that's plays into the ending of the webtoon. So I'm like, I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, even in the webtoon, it's unclear whether that's what. That's why I'm wondering if what Hyun did to Yikyeong is that it doesn't seem like it's the same. Because like I said, the lady that came out of the lady that was looking after the kids in the apartment building, she seemed to still be kind of some neo-human situation. So that, like I said, that's unclear in the webtoon. But look at it, Yikyeong, she's human now. So I'm like, is Hyun in the TV show feeling that sort of cocoon process that we've kind of set up in the show? Which, like I said, there's also in the webtoon. Is it just feeling that same role, or can we just never got an answer to that in the webtoon of what that necessarily meant? So maybe they'll be a little more clear in the TV show on what that, I don't know. That might not even be the route they go with the cocoon situation. I have no idea. But yeah, when she's the one that rushed to try and wake Hyun up when everything was kind of popping off, had a torch in hand, avoiding his wing and just trying to wake him up. And like I said, the version that woke up, it's like, well, you never know which version of Hyun you're going to get. So other than that, we had the whole situation with picking up with the Chief G situation. She got handcuffed, and Tak learned what happened to her circumstances. Did we know what happened to her husband? Because he was in the flashbacks, but we never saw him after a certain point. So I was like, did she eventually feed him to their son? Maybe the moment he started, maybe he entered a process and then got kicked out. And as we found out, she would bring people back in and feed him. So it's like, yeah, clear cut that Seong-woon is dead. Poor guy. But it's after everything, it's kind of interesting that that's how you would meet your end, because he was the more cowardly dude, and it's out of anyone from the first season, you ended up managing to survive. Like I said, and they kind of imply he was going to die, but we never got clear cut answer. It's no, this is clear cut as it gets. Yeah, he's definitely dead, because anyone that went down there was lunch. So, but because Chief G was originally going to take him to the stadium or whatever, but then it's like, no, or like they were the shelter. No, I'm sorry, they were going to go to the shelter initially, but then her son started displaying the symptoms, so she found that spot, locked him up, and was feeding him just for the purposes of keeping him alive. And Talk is just kind of like, wow, you did all that, and look what your son's become. It's like, we've never seen something of that magnitude of like, yeah, you've been feeding your son for God knows how long, and yeah, you're responsible for so many people. But she's kind of like, who cares? Like, the fact of the matter is, what parent would turn their back on their child? And Talk is like, I killed my son. Like, the moment he started turning, like, I killed him. He was the first monster I ever killed. And just like that stopped Chief G, because it's just like, because she was like, oh, you're arrogant. You're not, if you were in my shoes, you'd do the same thing. It's like, no, he was in your shoes and he chose a different path. Was it the right thing to do? Or what you're doing is the wrong thing to do? It's like, it's subjective. It's like, it's fucked up what you're doing, feeding people to him, but it's like, it is also understandable. You wanted to save your son. But like I had brought up last episode, her expression makes it seem like she has not seen him since he transformed. Because the last time she put him in there, he was a human. So she doesn't like to kind of like help herself, like ease her pain. She probably avoided looking at him. That's probably the first time she's seen him in so long. Because all she does is she shepherds like the victims or lunch down there to him and gets gobbled up, but she doesn't look. She immediately closes the door and locks the door the moment they start going down. So she's probably has not. That was, like I said, something I went back and forth. I wasn't sure if like that, like the look on her face made it seem like she had not seen what he had become. So, question is like, what do they do with him? And even Talk was like, you have a choice of like, you can either stay or you can leave, but we have to decide what to do about that monster. Like, he appears not to be aggressive, but he has eaten people, so it's unclear at this point in time whether that's going to be a problem or not. Because some of these monster things is like, if you leave them alone, won't do anything. But it's unclear of like, oh, he might stay passive forever because he's no longer getting food. That might make him aggressive because he was getting fed continuously. So now he might turn aggressive. Who knows? So, and she tried to. Chief G tried to kill herself, but then Yiseo like stopped her, because it's like, you don't get to get off that easily, because she's like, you made your son into a monster. Like, he's not even aware of the amount of people he's killed, but you made him into a murderer doing that, and it's just that reality of like, he might have been turning into a monster, but you turned him into a monster the moment you started feeding him. Like, you keeping him locked up is one thing and wanting him to survive, but you feeding people to him, regardless of the circumstances, you were still feeding innocent people to him. That's bullshit. That sucks. And you did that. So you don't get to just take the fast, easy route and just not like, oh, now that you're caught or whatever. It's like, no. You got to live with what you've done. It's, now you have to face the reality of what you've done. You tried to justify it all along, but now you've been called out for it. So what are you going to do going forward? It's going to be an interesting development on that front. We also had Yikyung's daughter sneaking into the stadium, as Yikyung kind of figured she would. And it is interesting that the first person she ends up running into is it Soo-young or is it Yeong-soo? I get the names backwards between the siblings, but the brother is still getting bullied, and he's like, oh, the moment I become a monster, I'm going to kill both of you, get my revenge. Probably not the best thing to say that around Yikyung's daughter, who is reaching for him, but luckily Yiseo showed up and kind of like pulled him away, and it's like, right, you kind of have to follow me, and he's not listening to his pseudo-mom. Understandable, like, a lot of people you've come to care about, like, you've been through some traumatic shit. A lot of people you've come to care about. Jisoo, Do-sik, like I said, Myung, I think the woman's name was. Your own father. You already lost your mom. Well, because I can't remember if there was a thing that was a difference between the manhwa and the webtoon. The webtoon and the TV show. Because, like, I believe in the TV show, their mom is dead, but in the webtoon, their mom was, like, away. Because, like, their parents are divorced. I don't remember if the TV show even went into that. It's been hot minutes at season 1, so I might have brought something up at that time if I got to that point in the webtoon. I'm not sure. Either way, the kid's full of resentment, understandably. So it is interesting that Yi Ki-young's daughter would kind of reach out to him, and it's like, well, there's a little bit there because she's looking around, seeing like all these kids with these parents, and it makes her think about her time with Yi Ki-young, where it's like, oh, there was loving moments when she was younger. Like I said, that turned into contempt and anger and a lot of hatred as she gotten older. So it's a little bit of like what she used to have versus like what she doesn't have anymore and what she'd want to get back. So she kind of found someone else who was like her. So it's almost like I'm giving you a blessing. This is what you want, and I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to make you feel better by making you into a monster, thinking that was going to be the solution. So, but if I'm not confusing the character's name with another character, which I recently did a Nerdmo and I was just checking, I think it's the same character I'm thinking of. It's like, her name is Jinok, I think. She's like, yeah, I will look after you. Like, you can be pissed at me, you can hate me, I get it. The moment you turn 20, I'm kicking you out. But until then, you're stuck with me. And even offered Yi Ki-young's daughter, like, I will help you find your mom. You're separated from her, right? It's like, to be fair, there's a lot of kids, a lot of people that aren't really, well, they do keep tally with stuff in here, but it's like a random kid just popping up. It's like, it's not that weird, so she's not going to draw that much attention initially. But the problem is, like, she was like, oh, like, Jinok is like, oh, I'll help you look for your mom. You can stay here for tonight. It's like, you know, being a little more helpful and more comforting than your own mom. It's like, well, if Jinok found out, like, what you are exactly, well, I mean, well, no one in that facility would be too keen with you, so. We have that. We also have the situation with, what's their face's group? Sungwon's group. They ended up, well, we found out some interesting things. The reason why he's able to kind of find his daughter is he talks about Yi Ki-young. He's like, the moment when she passed out, because we never saw this last season, but when he found her passed out, he touched her belly and left an imprint. I guess it was not to Yi Ki-young, but I think it was to their daughter. It's like, oh, I left a gift, so he can feel the pull from that whenever they're near. So like, Yi Ki-young's daughter, their daughter can feel it, but also Sungwon can feel it as well. So it is leading him straight to the stadium. They did pick up a random dude when they dealt with like a cocoon situation, and the guy was kind of explaining how it works. It's like, oh, monsters don't attack the cocoon, so it's like, if you like stay near it, because he was hiding in a trunk, because this particular cocoon was like webbing it up and keeping the car elevated, so it made a really good hiding spot. It was just chilling in the trunk. But the moment like the babies get attacked, obviously you draw in all these monsters. But yeah, like Sungwon killed it, and the rest of his neo-humans killed the rest of the monsters that were kind of on their way. So poor guy was so excited, thinking like, oh, I'm in kicking with the crew, and then he saw Sungwon's head. He's like, yeah, you guys can drop me off. We don't see the guy later on, so it's like, home dude in like the overalls was like, oh, can I kill him? And it's like, you kind of have to wait. So there's also that other person, like the girl, like who seemed like she was helping Sergeant Kim and them. Like, she seems like she's in pain. And the voiceover from, like, Dr. Lim, when he was kind of like, oh, yeah, like, he was referencing, like, oh, I have something that can help you. Like, I can't cure your monsterization, but I can help you kind of control it. The while he was talking about it, and it seemed like maybe whatever it is inside of her. Like, or maybe his process. I don't remember that person's circumstances, because like whatever is like, she's in pain, so I'm like, maybe it's something he did to kind of help her gain control of her monsterization, and it's kind of backfiring. I don't know, because she's shivering and just kind of like seems like she's in pain, and I'm not sure what the hell that's about. But yeah, Sungwon's crew like strolls up and just bursts through the door, injures some of the soldiers, didn't kill them, but injured them enough, and it's like, cool. Dr. Lim is telling him like, chill, relax, because Sungwon is here for his daughter, which I love that. Like I said, I think the boy is the boy is Yeonsu. Like I said, I keep getting the brother and the sister's names backwards, but Yeonsu immediately recognizes like, oh, and Jinok is like, nope, don't say anything, because it's like, I figured out you guys would be the only ones in that place that recognized that face. But it's like, yeah, because I don't remember if they know Sungwon like possessed his body. They know he was dying. I just don't I don't think they would know about him becoming like his circumstance. I don't think they would know. They'd know like, oh, if he's here and he's a monster, that's it. Like, let's not draw attention to ourselves to be people he knows. I mean, to be fair, Song-won, when he was in the first body that he had when that crew came into the hotel in season 1, it's like he saw everybody, so he would remember their face. I mean, it's been a couple years, so like he might not remember, but you know. But yeah, he's coming here looking for his child. He feels the pull. It gave him a general area, but he doesn't know. And I think their daughter feels it, but she's not quite sure what to make of it. So that's going to be interesting as they're gathering up all the children, trying to see like, okay, which one is your child and which one isn't. And the moment you're reconnected, like what that means in the grand scheme of things. We also found out about Sergeant Kim, that he's still alive. He was badly injured, and his last dude, what was it, Seok, ended up like giving him kind of a blood transfer just to make sure he's alive, because it's like, I'm not going to make it, someone needs to, there's other people held here. So it's like, Sergeant Kim, like, you have to, like, I know I'm asking a lot, but you need to carry this on. You need to make sure they get out of here. So yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's not the guy that was hanging up, because I think maybe he's still hanging, or I don't know. I don't think they ever dropped him down. I think home dude he was hugging last episode, who got heavily injured, he's dead. So it's like, damn, the crew that he came in here with, it mainly gone. Maybe the last dude that he was like, who had the messed up face, who was just like, no, don't do this. Maybe he is still alive. Like I said, maybe he's still hanging up there. Maybe not. But there's still other people there that were being held that needs to be saved as well. So we'll see, because obviously everything is going to collide at that place. Like, who knows when Hyun and Eon-yu are going to go there, because Chon Seok was like, oh, once Hyun wakes up, what are you going to do? She's like, well, I can't go back. I got kicked out. But also, Hyun will never be accepted there. But they have reason to go there because everything is colliding at the stadium. Now, whether that's going to be the final grounds for everything, or will Sung-won leave once he's got his child, because they're changing things there. It's like, okay, like everyone's just going to be like treated the same, like the Crow platoon with the regular people. But if you were diagnosed and you were just kind of seen as showing symptoms, you can walk around free and be fine. I don't know if Tak walking about in front of everyone indicated that to them, that, oh, like, oh my god, he isn't, like, I don't know if that was clear cut to them. I don't know if that meant, because you saw people kind of staring at him when that announcement was happening, but it's like, well, he's the leader of the Crows, so like he probably has a little more free reign. Like, I don't know if people interpreted that as like him admitting to being infected, or, you know, because once again, Lim wants to make him into a special infected, promising to, that way you don't lose control, and you can kind of, this way you can stay you and not have to basically kill yourself or have your men eventually kill you. Because it's like, yeah, because you want to keep this place in control, because the last thing you want is anyone else running this place, because you've kept things tight-lipped, like you kept everything in order up until now, and it's like you can't guarantee that will be the case if you're going. That's why you're reluctant to kind of give up your control of this place. So a lot of stuff to think about. It's going to be interesting to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.